Welcome to Embrace the Spiritual Podcast. Join friends Michelle and Dawn as they share tips on how you too can open your heart, raise your vibration, and reclaim your sovereignty. Hear what they have experienced and overcome in their spiritual journeys while navigating this expansive spiritual multiverse. Discover how they transform their soul lessons from ordinary into extraordinary.
Follow, subscribe, and share Embrace the Spiritual Podcast on all streaming services, including YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and visit embracethespiritual.com for bonus content. To book a quantum energy healing session with Dawn, visit her website at alchemy-sacredsound.com. To book an SRT session or Reiki and Tuning Fork classes, visit Michelle on her website at energeticembrace.com.
Welcome back to this episode where we are going to talk about clearing karma. Our last episode, when we were talking about new earth energies and things that are coming, if you haven't already noticed what you've experienced in this first 11 months of 2024, we've only got 1 month left. It's been a quick year. It's a year of change. Things are happening fast. And karma is something that we need to be aware of. I'm sure lots of people have heard about having negative karma or good karma because you've behaved yourself, so you've got a whole bunch of good karma stored up. Well, it's not quite how it works. And you know what? At one point in time, I certainly thought that way, that we had this element of good and bad, but I've learned over the years that it's more about the energy of the lessons we're learning. That's what karma really is. Karma is not judgmental. We are the ones that put judgment on it to either punish ourselves. Maybe we've got some self-punishment programs happening, or we've had something bad happen to us, right? So we're judging that as I must have done something in a previous life to invite this bad karma onto me. Well, no, it's probably more a reflection on maybe where your mindset's at. Maybe you're attracting things in your mindset. We've certainly talked about that in past episodes. But really, karma, I think at its root or at a base level, is just about lessons. We come into this world. Before we incarnate, we decide what lessons we want to learn. We kind of go through our entire soul journey, things that we want to learn. And because of free will, ultimately the decisions we make along the way will determine how that lesson looks. So it's not necessarily like you're sitting up there thinking of gruesome ways that you're going to experience a lesson. It's going to show up in different ways. And if we don't pick up on the lesson that we are meant to learn, it might show itself in the same way again and again, might show itself in a different way, a completely different situation, or it will get more, I don't want to say severe, but more obvious. And that's what happens. It's like in your face. You cannot deny that something needs your attention. And that's really what we want to talk about in clearing karma. As the new earth energies are coming in, they're already here. They're already started. It's not like we're preparing for 5 years down the road. This is already happening. And are you going to be riding the wave, or are you going to let the wave come over and kind of drown you out and keep you submerged? Well, I'd rather ride the wave. And by clearing that karma, what you're also doing is you're helping generations. So if you have children or siblings, even your parents, grandparents, if you still have them alive, you're clearing karma for generations. So a lot of times we have this karma that has come through generationally, and we're the ones that are here to put an end to that generational trauma or karma. And a few episodes ago, we were talking about SRT, spiritual response therapy. That's a great tool for clearing karma, because sometimes we may have learned some lessons and we've just got some house cleaning to do. We just need to get the energy of that cleared out of our way. And yes, karma is typically going to come because of past life situations. It really is about the energy we are attaching to the lesson. That it all comes down to that saying, my perception's my reality, because it is. It's how I'm perceiving the situation. And two people could perceive the situation completely different. And that's based on the experiences that we bring in. So lots to talk about. We'll give you some tools to kind of understand maybe what the karma is, and really want to move you away from that judgment of positive karma, negative karma. We got to be careful saying, oh, that person's, got some karma coming to them. But you're kind of putting a curse out there, aren't you? Like that's no better. Dawn, what do you want to start sharing about karma?
Well, I love how before we even talk about what we're going to do in a week, it's been not even a week of intense energies. My youngest got into a car accident, and I actually had seen before it happened, half an hour, probably, maybe even a little bit less, that it was going to happen. And I was, I questioned my team, like, really? Like, she's going to get into a car accident? And they're like, yes, but you can't do anything. You can't interfere. So I said, all right, I understand. It's got to happen. I'm going to let it happen. And so then she texts me, Mom, I was rear-ended. And I said, here it is. It's presenting itself. Thank you. I thanked my team. Thank you so much for, showing me. And I knew that this was something that she had to handle, but I could help her as a parent along the way and read the situation, because this was her first accident. She's only 20, and it is kind of intense. She was with a friend. I can't remember where she was. It was a 4-lane or a 2-lane, but it was 45 miles an hour, which nobody's going 45 miles an hour. There was a car that had gone across the lane on the left and wanted to complete its left-hand turn and get into her lane completely. Well, it was halfway there, but they just weren't committing because cars weren't slowing down. So she decided to slow down and let this car in. She had almost come to a complete stop, and the car behind her was not paying attention and rear-ended her. And she called me and she's like, should I move to the side? And I said, is it safe? And I started reading the energy of the situation, because I really felt that this was not safe. And she said, no. She's like, people are honking at us. I said, put your flashers on. Is the guy behind you okay? Can you see him? She's like, yeah, he's really mad. He's on the phone. I said, okay, don't get out of the car. Like, I feel like it's more dangerous. Keep your seatbelt buckled. Her friend had the phone, and I said, just keep me on the line, and we're going to through this. So there was, we're playing phone. She's on the phone with the cops. I'm on my daughter's phone. And I said, I don't feel that it's safe for you right now to move your car, because people are just, blowing through, not even slowing down, stopping, seeing that they're okay. Everybody who had witnessed it just vanished, which is, what happens when there's accidents. And I said, wait for the cops. So the cops come, he stopped traffic, and they pulled over to the plaza. And her car had rear end damage. Thank you, Subaru. Love you. And honestly, you could barely tell, but all our sensors are going off now. And he said it's more internal stuff, and the other guy had to have it towed. So we're very thankful for the cop being very understanding and explaining everything to her. She took pictures and everything. So it was really a learning lesson. And then before we hung up, my team says, hold on, you have to tell her that she's got to talk to us and clear the energy, because her chances of getting into another rear end have just been expanded like to 90%. So I said, you have to do this, because your chances are you're carrying that energy still, and you have to clear it. I said, talk to your angels, ask them to do a 30-foot radius around you. It's your time to step up. This is what you need to learn. And she did. And she came home a couple hours later because she had some errands that she had to run. And I saged her, clearing what I could. And I said, it is now your responsibility. When you wake up, you have to shield. You have to activate your angels. This is your wake-up call from your team. I love you, and I can only do so much, but it is not my responsibility to take over your life. Thank the angels for doing this. So she's like, I did it in the shower. She took a shower and did all the clearing. So it really is a time to start stepping up energetically, whether it be with people you work with, because there's been a lot of conflict at workplaces. I've been talking to friends, people who you thought were, of love and harmony are all of a sudden turning. It's like, honestly, I think I know a lot of energies are stepping into people, because a lot of people are passing away and they might not think it's time and they don't know where to go. And they're seeing people who aren't shielding and they're like, I'm just going to go here. So you have to shield. It is so important at this time when your loved ones are passing away, help them. We can do this for everyone that we have in our lives. We had a good friend pass away And I was like, all right, I know. I saw his obituary and I said, oh my goodness, we know this guy. I couldn't believe it. I didn't even know he was sick or, again, that old. I thought he was like more early 60s, not almost 80, because he looks so good. And help them. Help them. If you don't know what to do, just ask your angels. Talk to your team. They will tell you. You will just get feelings of what to do. It is time to start stepping up to these new earth energies that are coming in. They're coming in fast. They're coming in furious at times, but it is okay. We are grabbing onto it. Everything is changing so quickly, and the karma that we were dealing with before is changing, so we're not going to have to deal with it again.
I'm so glad that she is okay after her accident. And maybe some of you have experienced something similar, right? It's something that, oh, I just got goosebumps, that you walked away because you had a guardian angel watching over you. And don't take those lightly. Not that we want to institute fear or judgment or anything like that, because that does not help the process. It's about acknowledging what happened, reflecting on it to see if this is something that's maybe happened before in a different way that wasn't maybe as severe. And it's tough when, Dawn got that information and, we want to protect our kids, we want to protect our family, but it's not our place to step in. And all we can do is support them whenever it happens, whatever they're going through, because we don't always know, we've said this before, what every person signed up to do in this lifetime, what lessons they want to learn. So I think that first step of really acknowledging, and I'm really proud of her that she took those steps right away. She took it seriously and said, okay, I'm going to talk to my team. It's not about saying the perfect thing. Just talk to them and make sure you're ready to listen. Because I think sometimes we think it's a one-way street, that we're talking to them, one-way communication, but it's not. We need to sit with ourselves and really listen to the feelings we get, the messages we receive in regards to how to move forward. One thing I do want to say about clearing karma, because I actually had a situation happen this year that I thought, I've cleared this lesson, it's all learned, and guess what? It wasn't. So sometimes we have things that we might not have an issue for a decade, and then all of a sudden something pops back in your face and you're thinking, what? I thought I dealt with this. And maybe you had, but there's still some element. Anytime we have what we feel is a trigger or memory or something, there's something that's still not quite cleared. And for me, what I've really noticed is it's almost like I can intellectualize that I know why it happened, right? We kind of get in our thinking minds and I can see why it happened. It's a matter of shifting to that place of, are you truly feeling all the feelings around whatever has occurred, truly feel them, to understand them. And if there's other people involved in your situation, you can't do anything for them on their behalf. All you can do is clear those energies between you. And you may be thinking, well, what can I do to clear those energies? Well, maybe it's just a matter of releasing yourself from any judgment towards the person. So Dawn and I were talking before we started recording about forgiveness. And really, I think forgiveness has come up because we've either judged ourselves or judged somebody else for their actions or lack of actions. And I think it's really about shifting our energy. If you don't like the word forgiveness, because that is such a tough thing for people, it just happens to be the label that we've given it. But really, do you want to hold on to those negative feelings, the negative thoughts that you have around a situation? Or do you just want to feel all the feels? Could be anger. You might want to feel like screaming at somebody, using all the colorful language that you could possibly think of, if that's what makes you feel better about the situation, by releasing the energy out of your body, because you probably had something happen in your body as a result, and it's not serving a purpose. And that's really, I think, what it boils down to when we're talking about clearing karma. Is this serving a purpose for me? Because most times it isn't, besides learning the lesson. So don't sweep it under the rug, because the rug pile is going to turn into a mountain, right? Those couple little dust particles that you swept under is going to be a big mound in very short order. And with these new earth energies and all this change coming, that stuff is happening faster and faster. So I would say even 10, 15 years ago, these things might have taken a few years to play out. Not now. They're happening fast. And if you don't pay attention, they're going to come faster, harder. And you need to take action and figure out whether you're going to meditate, journal, maybe do a voice memo into your phone, something regarding the situation that you haven't gotten to a point of gratitude for the lesson. Because for me, that's how I see clearing that karma, is if you can get to the place where there is no judgment towards yourself, or if another person's involved, towards another person. So if you want to call that forgiveness or not, that's up to you. But really, it's about releasing any negative or discordant energy between that and truly come to a place of gratitude for the lesson. Because if you can come to a place of gratitude, you've understood the lesson, you've accepted it, you're acknowledging that it happened, but you're not allowing it to define you. Because that's what happens, is we allow it to define, right? This happened to me. I'm a victim. That's where that victim mentality comes in. And victim mentality will get you nowhere fast. Nowhere. You might as well put the vehicle in reverse and back up, because you're losing ground. And in these fast, time-changing new earth energies, it's not going to wait for you. So you either want to be at the front of the bus, or are you jumping out the back of the bus?
So when we go to talk about an episode, we talk beforehand. And as Michelle was talking, I heard as the new energy comes in, it is the time to change how we speak. And it's so true. My daughter kept saying, I'm sorry. But she didn't need to be forgiven. She needed to forgive herself because she thought she made a mistake. And honestly, she didn't make a mistake. And that's where I think, because she's young and she doesn't, we've been so programmed to be this way. Like when there's a mistake made, somebody's got to apologize. You don't have to apologize anymore. This was a lesson for you, and there's no forgiveness. You might need to forgive yourself for saying, I'm sorry, because, after like 3 times, I'm like, girl, stop. And it's how many situations where people, I'm sorry, I'm crying. I'm sorry I did this. Own it. If you need to get those feelings out, do it. It is A-okay to cry. We need to start and realize that crying is not a bad thing. It is a release of emotions that we do not want to hang on to. If you need to release those emotions and get them out quick, you cry and be done with it. There's nothing wrong with it. If you're a guy, if you're a girl, I don't care. We have these programs that we think we have to be a certain way to be strong, to be tough. It is not going to be like that when we dip into the full new earth energies. It is a different energy. I don't even know if there's going to be crying, most likely, but I just feel so much happiness, so much joy. It's going to be a different kind of energy. There'll probably be crying of tears of joy, of laughter, laughing so hard that you're crying because you can't stop and your stomach hurts, which I've had happen to me on many occasions. But this is a time to look at how you speak, how you look at yourself. It is really an inner reflection time. Look at what is not working for you. Am I happy with what I'm doing? Is this how I want to live my life? Question, question, question. Question the people around you. A lot of things are coming up. Should this person stay in my life? Are they treating me with respect? Do they make me feel good when I am around them? If it is a no, why would you hang around them? I am to the point where I don't consent to this type of behavior. It is just not going to benefit me. Honestly, it's a power struggle because the person who's putting me down wants to feel bigger and better than me. And they're not. We are equals on all levels, on all spiritual levels. We are here to learn on every dimension, but this power struggle has to end. We're all equals. They're saying, declare it. I'm declaring it. So start thinking, start feeling what is resonating with you. I know what doesn't resonate with me. And I want to keep what's resonating because it will keep me on that timeline of caring for the land, caring for the animals. This morning, I had 3 deer. One was already on the right side of me. 2 of them were like moseying along, kind of like, well, we're not going to hit, you're going to hit us, Dawn. And I'm like, in the middle of making a turn, guys, could you pick a better time to decide to pop up out of nowhere? Because as I was turning there, I couldn't see them from where they were beelining with the way my car was. So things are changing. The animals are shifting. I know it's not in my timeline to, hit an animal. And keeping them safe where they need to be. And every time, something big happens, I see my fox friend. So last night when we go on our walk, I'm like, Ron, is that our fox friend? I'm like, I think that's our fox friend. And there he was, middle of the street, sniffing around. And we always are like, hey, how's it going? So these animals are going to start showing up for messages for you. Are you going to pay attention or just be like, oh, that's a fox. It's randomly there. I knew that fox was there because of the energy that we had shifted. He always seems to show up like when there's major shifts. And I'm calling it he, it's probably a girl, but I can't tell from like 50 feet away since it's, he's in the shadows at all times. So you have signs, start looking for them, paying attention. The numbers will start speaking. You will start thinking of things and they're going to start popping up more and more. It's not just a coincidence. It is being put there for you to start paying attention to.
I love that you were talking about the emotions, because one thing that I've learned over the years is whether you are crying or in a situation where you're releasing emotions, or, you're with somebody and they are crying because some memory they're releasing and, thinking about something, stop and don't jump to console them. Because what you're doing, even though we think that that's an act of empathy and sympathy for the person, you're actually interfering with their process of releasing and feeling those feelings. Maybe it's something that the person has done that they have some shame around. If they start crying and they're thinking about this, like, can't believe this happened, and trying to work through those feelings, it's important to let them work through the feelings. So even with kids, right, that's our instinct, is to go hug them and, console them, which actually disrupts that process of them feeling their feelings. And kind of interferes in their, well, not kind of, it does interfere in their free will, essentially, because that's the way they process things. So if you disrupt that flow of energy release, they're going to have to feel it at some other time. So it could be prolonging their own self-healing. So you can be there. It's our nature to want to jump in and help, but sometimes we need to just be there. You can, if you feel like you have to say something, you can just say, look, I'm here to create a safe space for you to release and feel your emotions. Ask, is there anything I can do to help? Let me know, but don't jump in to help. And it's going to go against the grain of what you feel you need to do in this situation. But I think that's really important when we're talking about clearing karma, is we need to feel the emotions that are surrounding whatever event, because if we don't truly feel them, we can't move through them to that place of that I was talking about earlier about gratitude. So I wanted to add that point. So I'm really glad that you brought up about her crying, because I think that's really important, especially I think crying about things. There's been such a stigma put around, men crying, even kids crying, be quiet or I'll give you something to cry about. Like all of those things is programming. And I know I've said it. And I look back and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said this, but I can't judge myself because I didn't know better at that time. So just be patient with it, whether it's you going through something. Sometimes we seek advice right away from somebody so that it kind of disrupts, and we might not even be aware that we're doing that. But sometimes we just need to feel that. If you need to write it out, but there's just something about the act of feeling mad, being mad, but don't wallow in it, right? Don't stay in that victim mode. One of the other things that I want to talk about when you were talking about the deer, it reminded me of a situation. I was driving, backcountry roads. And of course, there's always wildlife in the fall, right? They're starting to move and find their places. And as you're going through this karmic healing and doing all of this work, don't forget to take notice of those little signs that you get along the way, because those are validation. Maybe it's information that you need to continue the work that you're doing, but sometimes it's just a validation for you about what you're thinking. So be really mindful when you do see maybe an animal in front of you, whatever it is, that it symbolizes something. So think about maybe what you were thinking about in the moment. I know when I'm driving, it ends up being a little bit of a meditative time, because, you're kind of in that theta brainwave a little bit. Yes, I'm paying attention to driving, but it's just kind of like a rhythmic thing, right? And I was driving down this road, of course, very little traffic, and I'd seen a moose cross the road, probably, a mile ahead of me. So I slowed down. They're slow moving. They can go fast, but typically they are very methodical. So that's interesting. Thought number one, right? Being methodical. So that awareness for me, seeing the moose. And the moose went across the highway, down the other ditch, but it was an open field, so I didn't see it continue. So I knew the moose was still standing by the fence. So I slowed down. I could see another car come over the hill, so I flashed my lights so that they knew a moose was, or wildlife, they didn't know. And as I got closer, the moose turned around and walked really slowly across the road in front of me. And probably no more than 2 car lengths at that time, because I was pretty much slowed to a stop. There was nobody behind me. And so when I got to where I was going, I looked up spiritual meaning of a moose kind of stopping in front of you. And what came up for me, there's lots of things, but kind of what resonated, it's about authority and self-confidence. So that was the big thing. A moose, if you've ever had the opportunity to see one, they're very, they are that confidence, right? They move with confidence. They know where they're going, and resilience. So courage, resilience, and personal strength and protection. So all of these things, I went, wow, thank you for the message. And when you take the time to acknowledge those signs, sometimes we're so desperate to get signs, we miss the signs, and they might be big like that, a moose stopping, or it could be something as a bird you never see all of a sudden flies over top of you. Right? So if you're out in nature, it could be many of those things. So look for those signs that when you're on these healing journeys of any kind or on these spiritual growth paths, whatever you're working on, and you see a sign like this, take that moment to reflect of what was I thinking in that moment? And then what can that sign represent? And, with anything, especially if you do a search on spiritual meaning of things, there's always a big list. It doesn't mean they're all necessary. They might be, but they're not always relevant, but there's going to be nuggets in there. And no different than working with your angels or your guides. They're going to show you things that are relevant to what you're thinking in the moment. So I think that's a really key thing, is we forget to look for the signs when we're going through these big changes.
Yes. And as you were saying that, it's going to start being easier to talk with your team and interacting with them. A lot of people think, I can't do this. It is really about getting into the theta brainwave and figuring out what mind's driving. Sometimes it's not. I was obviously home yesterday or Monday doing stuff in the house. And sometimes it's just hey, random, not even meditating. I think I was looking for a glass. I don't remember specifically, but you will start hearing them being you will see pictures, you will get feelings. And, when you see or feel, you start asking questions. What's going on? What do I need to know? And the sky's the limit, honestly. Just start asking, start the conversation. They're always there for us. When I wake up in the morning, I always, talk to them. Hey, if there's any messages, if you need to contact me, the door is open. Just want to let you know. Because I think a lot of times we forget to ask, since the energies are changing, to do this. It needs to be a daily process for some of us, because a little bit, a little stubborn. Our guides are is she really listening? Is she really learning? Does she want us to talk to her? What's going on? Did we get the memo today? They're paying attention. Are we? Start opening the door to them. Open the conversation. You don't have to leave your bedroom. It just has to be hey, if you have any messages for me, if there's something you need me to know, how am I going to serve the collective today? And I've really been on the how am I going to serve the collective? What can we do to help them get where they need to be for those that want to change, that want to do the work, that need the pins to fall in place so that they can open that door, find the key that they're looking for to unlock the whatever they're looking for, to help them start healing, because they don't know that they need to heal. They just know that they need to change. They feel that urge to something's not right and I need the change. So open the door, have the conversations, talk to your friends. If you listen to our podcast, there's always somebody who I still feel it's things we don't talk about in the open. So let's start opening up this conversation and talking about, the wacky world of spiritual stuff. And let's not make it so we can't talk about it because it's kind of crazy. It's not crazy. I know I was talking to a friend and she's got an affinity for certain things. And she's it just makes me so happy. I'm yeah, because I love you. You are grasping that good energy that those, whether it be bugs or birds or animals, have to offer. And it's the same way with plants. Have you seen the videos where people are talking to plants and the plants are reacting? They are sentient beings. They have feelings. Some of them I think are a little sus, because if you can't show the whole tree and that somebody's not hiding, then you're not being open with what's going on. So do take it with a grain of salt, because some people I know just do it for the hits and likes and stuff, but it does happen. I have seen it. My plant wanted to join her friends outside, and I said, and she was just like, "Fine, you don't want me to be outside? I'm going to start dropping my leaves like crazy." So I said, "All right, I will put you outside with them," and she's doing great. I changed her position, put her by my sink, where I usually put my jade plant, because now it's cold, and she is looking so good. And when I got her, my friend's like, "I don't know what I'm doing. She's dying." And I said, "All right, wish me luck." I have no clue what kind of plant this is, but it's all lessons. We have formed a relationship. I thank her for her beautiful, leaves. And I think she can flower. I hope she flowers one day. That's my, hopefully if she wants to share her flowers with me, I would love it. And if it's not meant to be, that's okay too. But it's just we're in such a wonderful, energetic time with all these changes, and it may be tough, but it's okay. And it's all about mindset. Are you going to look at it as this is horrible, or are you going to say, "Thank you, I am grateful for the lesson that I'm learning, and I'm going to move on so I don't repeat this lesson again because I've learned."
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. One of the final things that I want to leave you with regarding clearing your karma is just remember that karma isn't about revenge. It's just about having that balance. You might see, if you Google anything about clearing karma, that they talk about karma's justice. Well, justice is judgment, isn't it? It's about balance. Here's one side of the lesson, there's a other side of the lesson, right? Kind of that yin and yang, so to speak. And if you can seek out having harmony and balance in your actions, that's really what you're moving towards. Karma isn't about punishing those who hurt others. Sometimes people, Dawn was talking about this, and things that we don't necessarily talk about. Sometimes people have entities. They have negative energies or entities that are influencing them. Yes, it happens. You can reach out to Dawn or I to work with you to help clear things like that. But a lot of times these souls have signed up to play that role in your life. So if something really crappy happens, or someone playing a role in the story that is playing out the karma in your life, when you can get to that point of thinking, "Wow, that person agreed to play that pretty crappy role," whether it's mean, vindictive, whatever the role is, it's not easy. But when you get to that place to say, "Thank you for playing that role so that maybe it's about you putting up boundaries. Maybe it's about your self-esteem." So whatever we see in other people is a reflection of maybe what is missing or what needs to be worked on within us. Look at it as an opportunity for growth. You don't have to like the person, right? We're not asking you to be besties with them or even have them in your life, whether it's family or a friend. Or most times when people like that play the role, sometimes the person's passed away, or there is no way that you're letting that person anywhere near you. That's okay. You can still do the work. So sometimes people think that they have to have contact with the person to work it out. You do not. This happens at an energetic level, and that's where clearing that karma and releasing that energy bond between you, that's where your growth is going to come. And karma doesn't hit you back, right? Like sometimes we think, "Oh my gosh, karma's going to get me back for whatever I did." Well, no, that's not what it is. If you continue certain behaviors that are not healthy and in your best interest, the universe will certainly reflect back to you what's going on inside. That's not karma. That is just an energy match to what's going on inside of you. So that needs to be worked on as well through that conscious languaging and all those things that many of our episodes, we reiterate some of these concepts. So it's not about a consequence. So a lot of times you'll see that it's not a consequence because that's a judgment thing. It's just a reflection back to you of the energy. That's really what it is. So not all things are soul contracts either. So sometimes we explain these away. They could be something going on with the other person. The best that we can do is clean house on our side of the fence, so to speak. That's what we're doing with this podcast, helping give topics and ideas to raise your vibration, clear your karma, clear your energy field, because ultimately that's what we are here to do. Is we're here to clean out the closet of clothes that don't fit you. That's really what we're doing. We're clearing our closets of things that no longer serve us. And Dawn has said this earlier as well. Just remember that clearing karma, it's personal, it's an ongoing process, and just be patient and kind and gentle with yourself as you work through clearing your karma.
Follow, subscribe, and share Embrace the Spiritual podcast on all streaming services, including YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and visit embracethespiritual.com for bonus content. To book a quantum energy healing session with Dawn, visit her website at alchemy-sacredsound.com. To book an SRT session or Reiki and Tuning Fork classes, visit Michelle on her website at energetisembrace.com.
Infinite love and gratitude. Thank you for joining us.